Hey, welcome to the website growth masterclass. My name is Joshua Brummel, one of the co-founders of Therapy Flow. We've got a full house today, and I'm excited to dive in and share some new, some old, and some best practices for your website. So we're gonna not waste any time here, and we're gonna get straight to the good stuff. Bottom line here at Therapy Flow, we want you to flow more and stress less. We know that owning and building a therapy practice is not easy, and a website piece of it, especially as we're talking about today, is a big facet of the marketing. Brief, quick overview if we haven't had a chance to meet or if this is your first time joining us for one of these master classes. We founded Therapy Flow, Attilio and I, a little over 6 years ago in 2018. We've worked with close to 2,000 practices. I am the author of The Flow, our weekly newsletter. We've got more than 15,000 practices who are subscribed to that. Our teams are certified Google Ads partners, and our growth frameworks have been featured in places like Meet in Kentucky, the Mental Health Marketing Conference, Wise Practice, Group Practice Con, and so many other places. And so when we talk about the success that you can and should have for your website today, through the practices that we've seen on repeat for thousands of therapists, no, it's coming from a great place, grounded in great information. So, number one, let's dive in. Secret number one, your website only matters if your traffic grows. Your website only matters if your traffic grows. I have seen some incredible websites where no one's getting any clients from them because they have no traffic coming to their website. They don't have clicks, they don't have calls, they don't have anything. The other thing is a lot of times a website sits there and it's a great parking place for your word of mouth referrals and your Psych Today and your kind of adjacent stuff. But we'll talk a little bit about SEO today because we want your website traffic to grow over time. We want it to become a compounding mechanism for your practice's success, a compounding mechanism for your practice's success. Secret number two, don't confuse beauty with getting clients. Some of the ugliest websites I have ever seen, the most tactless, the most whatever, get the most therapy clients. If it doesn't convert when it's ugly, it's not going to convert when it's pretty. It will convert more when it's pretty, but beauty alone does not make someone fill out the lead form, the contact form, or pick up the phone and call you. That is your product. That is your need. That is your market. And that is the traffic that comes to your website. But beauty, testimonials, a lot of other things we're going to talk about today intensifies and simplifies the conversion process, right? People do like walking in to a gas station with nice, pretty, clean bathrooms. But if you really got to go, it doesn't matter what shape that bathroom is in, you're gonna grab it. And so just know that like the function is the base layer. Beauty converts and leaves a good, strong brand impression. Secret number three, your website alone won't bring growth. This is probably for some of actually the brand new practices in the room, those that are just going from solo to group practice for the first time. Don't let your website become a shiny object. Don't let your website become a shiny object. We at Therapy Flow made the intentional choice. I think for almost the first 3-4 years of being in business, we didn't have a website because we were running marketing through different channels that didn't require it. And I didn't want this thing on the side that I had to manage, toggle, figure out up and down. And we see practice owners through the years make this mistake all the time where they glorify their website. And it's this sort of sacred cow. My website needs to be updated. Oh, when I get that to the finish line, the practice will grow. Oh, if I just add more pages or, there's so many ways to grow a therapy practice. Your website is a key foundational element often, but you can't let it become the thing that you keep going back to anytime things get hard as like the linchpin for growth. It's a piece of a whole, not the thing that you should land on consistently. So with that, your goal with your website is simple. Help potential clients across the bridge to you. Help potential clients across the bridge to you. So here's the cool thing. You don't need your website to do everything. You don't actually need your website to be pretty. You don't need videos on your website. You don't need testimonials. You don't need a lot of the things we're going to talk about. What you do need is just a proven path that enough clients that you want to work with for your practice, yes. But the larger your practice gets, and the more people you want going across the bridge, the more robust and the more secure that bridge needs to be, and the bigger it needs to be. Here in Chicago, they say that there's two seasons. There's winter and there's road construction. And it's because they're constantly trying to build bigger, better, wider roads. It's inevitably not happening. But the same is true for your practice. That a simple website is great at the start, and overcomplicating it is actually going to make your life and everyone's life way more difficult. But a larger website with more elements, more complexities, more brand is going to be needed the larger you get. So, just for your takeaways for today, where are we headed? Just keep in mind that don't do it all. If you think about the stages that I'm going to walk through, the recommendations, some of those things, just kind of keep in mind that if you're starting out, you have 0, 1, 3, 5 clinicians, great. Like you can have a simpler approach. If you have 10, 20, 50, 100 clinicians, right? Necessary, larger, complex atmosphere for your website and your marketing. So what are we doing? We're going to design a website that works in 2025, talk about some key elements beyond some of the basics. You're going to understand and convert more clients from great web strategy. What is web strategy other than just shoving content on a page that talks about our clinic? And I'm going to show you how to scale your web traffic to meet your needs. We've got a lot to cover in the next 40 minutes here, so I'm excited to dive in. We love Shelby, one of our previous coaching clients. We helped her just launch a brand new group practice, and in about 18 months, become a multi seven-figure practice. Today, she's got 70 providers, multi-state location, a lot of other things. And for her, the web presence and the work that she dialed in based off of Therapy Flow suggestion was pivotal to just scaling quickly and scaling accordingly. The website is a little bit like an iceberg. Most people think of a website just as the look and the design. Yeah, that is the surface element. So we pay so much time and attention to just this obvious piece sticking out. This obvious piece sticking out. When we get into the layers though, there's the copywriting and the content that shows up in your website. There's how your brand is represented on the look, the feel, the function, the everything else, which is sort of made up of these other elements. There's your call to actions or your offers. Our group practices that are cash pay and our group practices that are insurance need to present their call to actions and their offers differently or more nuanced sometimes. And then your search engine optimization. How is your website structured to show up for search algorithms and now AI search algorithms, which we'll briefly touch on today. If you're just joining us, drop questions along the way. We'll have some time to come back to those. But I just want to quickly talk about each one of these layers. Structure, things like your homepage, your service pages and topic pages, your about pages or your team pages, your clinician and bio pages, your blog and your content publishing, your location pages, your contact us pages. It could really get more complex down the road of partners, resources, reviews, product pages that are all layered in. If you think about just an initial website, you just need to focus on this first initial structure, these kind of first four. Have a home, have some service pages, have a team page, make sure you have some individual clinician and bio pages, and then grow into the rest of these over time. Big quick note on clinician/bio pages, both for SEO and discoverability. Probably about 50% of the websites that I audit have a general page that has all of your clinicians listed, but most of them don't have a place to click into that clinician and read more or see resources specifically built out by that clinician or discover more or watch a video. Huge strategy. If you're a practice right now in today's call, a group practice with a larger team, and you just have a spread of faces, that's fine on a general team page for a quick discovery or a quick search, but you should really have individual pages to explore each team member based off of how people want to discover their clinicians as a more next step. But each page can include best practice elements. And so a lot of times when we audit a website, we also see that you have some core elements, great. got image graphics, you've got a headline, a sub-headline, you've got some core content, but we're missing some other elements in making sure the page is really filled out. Better call to actions, linked resources, videos, testimonials, more expanded core content. Sometimes when I click into a service page, it's got one graphic, one headline, one subheadline, and a call to action. And we could really make that page a lot more robust. We'll come back to what that means in a second. But if you're going to have a web page, make it robust. So let's talk about content and copywriting really quickly. So regardless of the look, your page should include all of this. You should have some sort of need and or audience call out. So on your homepage, when someone first logs in and or sees your very homepage on your hero editor, right? It probably shouldn't say Therapy Practice LLC, your name. It's lost real estate. What that should be is it probably should call the need that people are searching for, or have an audience call out of, therapy for Florida residents who want couples counseling. Have to wordsmith that, but that is a need and an audience call out example. You should talk about the pain that they might be experiencing. Pain is a relative term to just the what is going on that's making them seek service in a lack thereof. The time, when do they want results? When can you get them in for an appointment? How are services delivered? Anything related to the timing of service, of calls, of cadence, of anything else. And then talk about results. What are the results that people experience? A lot of times we see talking about results, oh, you feel incredible, or we work dynamically with couples, with other things, but you're missing hard, specific outcomes. And this is about the content or the copywriting of your team. It's like you'll communicate better in your marriage. That's still very vague. What does that mean? On Sunday nights, when you typically fought all the time, you'll have the tools and the frameworks to navigate that and start your week with your spouse in a really succinct way. Saying that on a couples counseling page, fundamentally different. Even if that's not the full scenario, that is talking about a result through a clinical outcome lens that is both successful and specific. That is both successful and specific. You can add other elements, testimonial or proof. You might not have heaps of ethically sourced testimonials. That's okay. There's other forms of proof. What is the point of a testimonial on a page? It's to show that you do good work, to show that clients get results, to show that you have an established brand. Proof does the same thing. It's just the higher tier of it. This looks like partner endorsements. This looks like sourced data. 1 out of 3 of our clients feel better after the 5th session. You could run your own little mini de-identified survey results and get macro data for your practice. This could look like awards, ranked best EMDR or certified EMDR specialist, or fill in the blank. So if we don't have testimonials, we can supplement with proof on our different content. Video and or personalization. I also audit a lot of websites, and in the bulk of your website or all of your website, it is just Canva or stock imagery mush, and that's very easy to put together. It's very easy to put together, but overall, it's not ever going to speak or resonate with someone, especially this day and age. Beauty converts slightly less than just a real image of your team. Beauty converts slightly less than just a great non-perfect picture of your office where the therapy is actually going to take place, than the pristine fake office something else. Under your location pages, an actual picture of your location, even if it's not perfect, will perform better because it's rooted in realness. With what's happening with AI, it becomes way more important for some of those pieces along the way. And yes, Haley, all of the resources will be sent out today, including the point, a lot of other fun stuff I've got prepared for you. Mechanism. Let me talk about that for a second. I use the language of mechanism. An engine makes the car go, right? I'm a father of a 4-year-old. So when we go to the park, I'm the mechanism that pushes the swing right now. I'm the source of change. I'm the source of work. Inside of your therapy sessions, EMDR, as an example, is a version of a mechanism, and even micro pieces of EMDR is a version. It's not couples counseling that drives results. There's specific strategies inside of what you call couples counseling and work with your couples that makes the work you do dynamic and drives the results with the clinicians. Yes, everyone wants to work with an empathetic, caring, great, qualified clinician, but they also want to understand why your clinicians get results for the people who work with. So slow down and think about ways to consciously communicate what the mechanisms are that are happening inside of couples therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy and psych testing and everything else, right? This is talking about the elements that happen when they show up and do session and they get left with that create the change. This is a huge way that most service pages and most websites are lacking. They reference the results they get, they reference the environment that therapy happens in, but they don't ever talk about what creates the change. And the goal here is not to dump clinical knowledge. Cognitive behavioral therapy is blank, 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 blank. And that's why we get great results. The goal is to give them a picture. EMDR rewires your brain for success. How does that work? 3 second blur, 2 sentence blur, right? That is a picture of how that mechanism works. It rewires your brain for success, for fill in the blank. Those are the types of things that you need to have. And then a clear call to action. I was on a website earlier today before I hopped on a marketing audit for a client, and I went top to bottom through their website, and I saw one call to action button in the entire website and every fold of the page. And so these are some of the basics that need to be covered and then live in perpetuity as your site expands and gets larger. Your format plus your call to action will equal a good opt-in on these pages. Your format plus a good call to action will equal a strong opt-in. Your clients are asking these questions when they come to your website, and especially when they start exploring the deeper threads of your website. Can they help me? How do they help me? How fast do they help me? How much does it cost to get help? Does their help actually work? And how do I get help from them? If you effectively answer all of these questions on almost every page of your website in varying formats and methodologies, you will win. You will win. Maybe you just need to simply have an FAQ, how we help, who we help, how fast do you experience results? What does it cost to work with our team, right? Sometimes it's just the blunt outcomes that move someone through the process. Let's talk a little bit about designing a user journey. User journey and CRO, conversion rate optimization, kind of go hand in hand for website development. And what we're really trying to do is say, hey, where in a best case scenario do we want to lead someone through? Quick tip, don't publish ChatGPT word slop on your website or hyperclinical content without proper nuance. Both of those will kill your conversions on your website fully. But each layer of your website should be designed to just and only get them to take one step further across the bridge. I don't need our therapist bio page to do the work of my homepage and vice versa. I need my homepage to properly push them to want to explore the appropriate service page. And I need that service page to instigate a desire to maybe explore the relevant therapist related to that service. These are kind of interchangeable, right? You could start with an emphasis on your therapist, finding a right therapist, and then talk about the services they provide or vice versa. And then that pushes them to a contact page. And then inevitably, once they've reached out or right before they reach out, they're going to do a brand exploration phase of things, right? Think about the last thing that you purchased. Maybe some of you for Therapy Flow, you just went through this process. If you're a current client of ours, you went through all the elements of information, got to the point where you scheduled a call, you signed up for the service or whatever it is. But probably after you did all of this, or right before you took the final action and you knew what the final action was, you did a full brand exploration. Kind of went top to bottom through the website. You checked out a YouTube channel, you looked up reviews, you whatever. So when building a website, it's first your user journey, and second, the interconnected brand exploration process. The smaller you are, or the newer you are to website strategy, the more you need to focus on just building your bridge. The larger you get, the more your interconnected full brand experience, where no matter where they land, they kind of get pushed back to center to convert, becomes important. Remember, I see some great questions coming in. Attilio will answer some of them along the way as well, but drop your questions along the way here as we go through some of these slides and we'll revisit what we can. This is also really important to visit this concept of funnels or landing pages versus a full website, a funnel versus a website. So drop a one in the chat if you've heard of a funnel. Drop a one in the chat if you've heard of a funnel. So a funnel is typically one web page, just a single page, not connected to other tabs. So this isn't usually connected to your full website, searchable like a service page in your website that's more of a landing page. A funnel is typically a single page with usually a single call to action purpose. We are trying to push all momentum to a single decision, a single purchase, a single form fill, a single calendar, whatever it is. Typically, there's no search engine optimization on funnels. We're not optimizing this to be indexed and show up for Google. So when someone searches, the page won't come up, and we don't care about that. It's great for Google Ads, workshops, events, lead magnets, single-use actions, things like that. And so funnels are great for a lot of things. A website is what you just traditionally think of. Many or all connected web pages, formal navigation to get in and out of any web page. You kind of have your full brand and offer home built inside of it. Search engine optimization is possible and needed, and it's good for central content, business building, brand building, general growth, traffic for some of these things. Let me pull this up and make sure that you guys can see this next thing I'm about to share. So just give you a couple use cases and an example because this is important. This is the Therapy Flow website. Great. This is where Therapy Flow houses any and all of our brand content, offers, services, everything else. This is my Therapy Flow newsletter funnel. Once you hit this page, you can't back out of it, or if it's LinkedIn social profiles or we run ads to it or anything else. It is short. This one is sweet, and it's just there to join the newsletter. This, we're running Group Practice Con in the fall, is also a funnel. It is a single page dedicated to a single flow of work for some of these pieces. Let's talk about it in a therapy context. I like Matthias Barker. He is a great therapist out there with a strong social brand. He's got an awesome website that's home for all of his brands, his workshops, his products, his therapy, all of that fun stuff. But then he has funnels, some products linked in, but a specific funnel for his reconciliation workshop and content and other things. Think about it through a Google Ads lens. This is a Google Ads funnel that our team built using the Therapy Flow CRM for a Google Ads client on marriage counseling. It's short, it's sweet, and it's designed just to convert Google Ads clients for the specific use case of couples counseling. Here is Bahava's main website, and it's everything that you might imagine for a website. But then here's the Google Ads funnel that our team put together. and converted well for just the specific outcome of running Google Ads. And so there's use cases when you think about this is that website, there's SEO work to be done on it. There's lots of linking and work. This is simple and straightforward, all designed to get the opt-in for some of these pieces and procedures. And so the reason why I bring this up is we get the question a lot of like, oh, why use a funnel for Google Ads when running them for your therapy practice versus just push them through for your full website? It creates a better, more straightforward, simple opt-in experience, right? When you show up to a park and Six Flags or something, and there's 15 million paths to go down, suddenly they're like, oh, where do I start? So sometimes limiting it and saying there's one option and you can scroll the page and opt in if you want to. That's what we want out of Google Ads because we want ad to landing page parity. When we run a couples counseling ad, we want them to only visit a page that talks about couples counseling and then send them their website later for the brand exploration and all the other pieces that they might want to do research on. So just a quick note that those are some simple nuances that it's really helpful to use a funnel web page when you really want to push forward a single clear use case. Then the rest you're going to build into your full website for some of those pieces. Let's keep going. Okay. So, two things really fast, Tilly, maybe you can drop this link. The Therapy Flow CRM does have a full website builder and funnel builder inside of it. So if you're a current client or you're someone that's exploring that and you're like, hey, where do I build things like that? That would be the place to build a lot of funnels, forms, HIPAA compliant opt-ins for some of those things. If you want to explore it, book a demo, or if you're already a client, book a one-on-one like help session or show up to a coaching call if you want understanding on how to better utilize those funnels. So I want to talk a little bit about your therapy brand because this kind of sits in that content layer, but your brand layer. It's more than just what you do or what it looks like. It's what you do. It's your client outcomes. It's what your clients say about you. It's the press that you do or don't have. It's your social profiles. It's your peer references and partners. It's your staff. It's your content and your language. It's your design and your visual appeal. Look at this list of things and you could just literally give yourself a ranking on a scale from 1 to 10. How robust do I feel about this layer of my therapy brand? Do you have any press? Do you have any press features? Have you ever been referenced locally? Do you have any awards? Like whatever it is. I'm not saying you have to, but that can be a piece of your brand. You get a 0 out of 10 if you don't have anything, right? Your peer references and partners, right? Maybe you have a EMDR certification. Maybe you have Gottman certifications. That's some level. Maybe you have community partners, lawyers, schools, EAP programs, hospital systems, right? Like, do we have those references listed, navigability? Do we have quotes from it? There's so many ways you can leverage that, right? You have staff. I recommended that earlier service page. Your brand is both how you represent your staff and the staff that you actually have. You might have an incredible staff, and if you have terrible headshots, that's going to reflect poorly on your brand. You might have incredible staff, but if you have really poorly written bios, that's going to reflect on your brand. You might have terrible staff with great pictures and great bios, and that will affect what your client outcomes are. It's all interconnected, but you can kind of go quickly through this list. Going back to my earlier concept, which is essentially to say the larger you get, the more each one of these things become important to have layered, integrated, and available in your website and represented well. And so if you are at 30 clinicians and you're struggling to grow, and there's 5 things on this list that you rank really low on, just look at that and be like, huh, how can I get press? How can I integrate my like social profiles and my brand better there? And how can I update the content and language on my website to be more converting and worded and appealed better for our people who visit this site. And that might help raise the floor of the success of your website. Take the time to create real human content. Great headshots, images of the practice in the rooms, videos of clinicians and founders, blog resources produced by therapists. Very bullish on this one. When you onboard a new therapist on your team, in that first 1 to 2 weeks where things are slow for them, make them write 1 to 3, 1 to 5 blogs that you can publish. You can link to their profile and their bio and their page as resources, because that will help your SEO, that will help your brand impression, that will help people explore these therapists. If you want to do blogs or resources, do a 30-minute Q&A interview through Zoom or record it in a different way so it's anecdotally helpful. Lots of ways to have your clinicians generate content for you without it being their job or it being a consistent thing that you require of them. And then get testimonials and client stories, collect data. I can't go into the full, like all the tactics and ethical ways to source testimonials and client stories. But I always have to say, I'm not recommending you go out and you hit up every client for testimonials in a way that goes against that. But there's also other ways to elevate your brand in terms of starting a newsletter. By the way, no one wants to join just a general newsletter. Hey, join my newsletter, pop up on your website or at the bottom isn't going to work super well. You want that outcome, learn, five ways to improve mental health, sent on a weekly basis. Join today. Whatever it is, there probably need productization or brand work needed for the newsletter itself if you want like organic opt-ins on that. Host a podcast. Get a team member to host a podcast. Focus on or showcase community events that either you're running or someone else is running. Offer free and paid resources. Testimonials. Get city and business endorsements, get press features, get awards. Those are all things that will elevate your therapy brand. Trust signals, impact signals, SEO signals for some of those different layers. Bottom line, for your call to actions, they need to evolve past book a 15-minute consult. You need to guide them towards a specific action, especially if there's just one primary one, and tell them what happens once they take the action. Book a 15-minute consult. Great. What does that mean? Okay, it's 15 minutes. It's whatever. The difference between book a 15-minute consult and get matched with a therapist today. Book a 15-minute consult to get matched with a therapist today. There's so many different ways to make your call to actions more nuanced, specific, especially if they're in your full website. You have the time, you have the real estate space. Yeah, maybe you have a book a consult up in your top right corner or give a phone call today. But when people are consuming content in the folds of your website and your service pages, make them more nuanced, make them more specific, and tell them what happens next when they have it. So there's 3 stages of call to actions. When you first launch your site and you're a smaller practice, just have one site-wide primary call to action. You should optimize for your practice. Do we primarily want phone calls? Do we primarily want scheduled appointments? Or do we primarily want form fills? And choose one of those and optimize as many of your call to actions to use the same language to keep it simple around that. Give us a call today. Fill out this form to book a call today. Whatever it is. Stage 2, you want page-to-page specific call to actions and maybe even page-to-page specific forms. Let's say you have 3 or 4 different versions of a couples counseling page because you have some different iterations of the type of couples work that you do. That's great. We probably want a specific embedded couples counseling form with specific call to actions for that couples counseling if you're a large practice inside of that. Same with your anxiety and your depression. I'm not saying you have 70 different forms across your site, but you can have some different calendars or some different forms to collect more nuanced information with a good call to action specific on that site. Because someone who has anxiety versus someone who's doing psych testing, this becomes important because you have multiple service offerings the bigger you get. Great. When they're on your service pages or they are filling out a form about a specific therapist, use something like a CRM to still operationally make it successful and get all that information into a single place, but have more nuanced forms to collect better data and get a better user experience on these pages. And then stage three is after that, you mix in lead nurturing and lead magnet opt-ins. So these are call to actions in certain segments of your website that aren't about booking to get information about your direct service or immediately booking a therapy call. This is free ebook, join the newsletter, get a fill in the blank consult. And so those are helpful to convert people who want more information or aren't quite ready to do your primary service opt-in in order to nurture your own list. But we don't need to focus on that in the early days of growing your website. Let's talk about SEO. So EMDR therapy in Chicago. I did this Google yesterday and grabbed a screenshot. I skipped past the sponsored posts and the map. Those are important things I'll come back to in a second. But the very first one is chicagoemdr.com. Cool. They got a good name going for them. Chicago EMDR. Psych Today has got a good ranking for finding EMDR therapists. But the more heat you apply, eventually your rankings boil up to the top. If you're new to search engine optimization, I'll explain more in just a second, but it's, does your website show up for the keywords that people search in Google and now in AI platforms? If I went to ChatGPT right now and I was searching, hey, like what are some of the best EMDR therapists in Chicago? It's going to be the same function. They're scraping the internet and deciding who to show and not show based off of the information that's in your website. That's where your brand, your trust features, your content, your keywords, all of that becomes really important. But here's kind of a misnomer. Once you do achieve a good ranking, it's a little bit like getting water to boil. So if you stopped investing in SEO, if you stop sending trust signals, building your site, making sure your metadata is all up to its appropriate level, some of those things, eventually it cools. Eventually it cools. And so then you have to do the SEO work again. So stopping and starting SEO work is very dangerous from the standpoint of you're eventually going to lose your momentum and have to reboil your entire pot because it's also a competition. Other people are going after the same digital real estate space that you are. So if they are applying heat, that boiling water is going to be used instead of yours. So essentially think of it this way. One pot of boiling water is one keyword or topic. If I go back to Google and I typed in anxiety therapist in Chicago, I'm going to get totally different search results. So the goal of SEO inside of your website is to boil a bunch of different pots of water based off of your specialties and your keywords. There's also nuances to EMDR. There's EMDR intensives. There's EMDR for, big trauma, little trauma, for certain types of PTSD, right? We could have keyword topics that we rank for all of those nuanced answers, or for big groups, couples counseling, anxiety, depression, CBT, teen and family, eating disorders, right? So search engine optimization work has to be done in your website for any and all content or copy that you want to successfully rank for. And if you're like, man, I really wish I could get more of these clients on our website, listing those services on your website is step one. Getting ranked for those services so organic searches find you is step two in a much different process. It also is not an SEO masterclass explicitly. Give some reasons on that at the end, but your website is still the bedrock to make all of that happen. There's kind of a couple core things I just wanted to go through. When you're doing SEO to rank your practice, first and foremost is on and off page optimization. This is your structure, your speed, your design. It says schema, but should say schema, metadata. Then you have your content generation. This is your blogs, your articles, your service pages, locations. There's best practices for all of these layers to rank better than others. And then you've got your internal and external like site linking and backlinking, your Google My Business listings, your press features, your blogs listed in appropriate page layering. And then this is all really driven by keyword research. So this is the work that's needed to boil lots of pots of water around all the topic groups. And so this is also why it takes time for you to see SEO results. When someone's like, yep, SEO takes time, they're saying that because you don't immediately boil water. You apply the heat, and then Google pulls that information in and decides what, when, and how to rank. So why is SEO so healthy for your practice and for your website? Number one is, to some degree, you do get to harvest again and again. The work compounds. The shelf life on SEO is much longer than something like Google Ads. Turn the ad on, you get clients for as long as it runs. And if you turn the ad off, you have zero ad momentum anymore. Versus once you do boil a pot of water, especially if you keep the heat on, you have hot water constantly and you can add more to it. The other thing is you can plant as many seeds as you want. I have a good friend. He works for a company that does several $100 million in revenue, and he manages all of their SEO for them. And they post thousands and thousands of pieces of content a month to get their company to rank appropriately. It's in another industry, and essentially there are millions upon millions of people searching for therapy. BetterHelp has so much success because they're doing great marketing across SEO and across paid ads. There's still plenty of space. And so love them or hate them for any other layers attached to it. They are planting high volumes of SEO seeds through their website, their pages, their content, their partnerships, and all of that stuff. And so if you think right now, I've got 4 clinicians, I've been investing in SEO for 6 months or 3 years, and it just feels like it's hit a ceiling, it might, but that also might be a strategy issue for what you're planting, how much you're planting, the volume that you're experiencing, and we'll come back to that in a second. I want to share just some live website feedback. There's a couple pieces that I'll probably already have preset, but someone who has an established website, I'm not going to pick it apart. I'm just going to give some growth suggestions for where your website is at. Someone want to drop their website and get a little bit of live feedback. Embracingjoy.com got it once. You're it, Melissa. Happy to send some feedback for others who dropped their website too, or for us to pop it in. Let me give a second to pull this up, and I'm just going to give you some core thoughts when I immediately pull up a website. Give me a second here. Thanks for being brave, Melissa. Embracing Joy Psychotherapy. A unique psychotherapy practice that gets you New York psychotherapists, individuals, and couples. First off, great. You have a clear location and audience call out that's often missed when someone first comes into your website. We've got clear structures here, the about, what we treat, what we offer, resources, media. I will say overall, I do like a meet the team or clinicians or something more specific, often up at the navigation bar. It's not always necessary, but sometimes it can just be helpful if someone especially is on mobile and they want to see what happens and what the drop down is for some of those pieces. Under what we treat and what we offer, there's 2 things that stick out. I do like the what we offer and what we treat, services or how we help. It's helpful to have those distinctly separated. So we have an anxiety service page here. When we initially go to that page, there's millions of different types of anxiety, right? And I'm sure they're only coming out with new forms, is the easy answer. It could be just my computer. It could be some things with your site, but as I click on that page, the load time is slow. So sometimes we do have to check load time on multiple devices, on mobile formatting for some of those pieces. And when we're in this anxiety page specifically, one of the things, I was on a website earlier today and it was just an eating disorder practice. They probably had seven or eight different what we treats under the subtype of eating disorders. And so you don't want those probably all listed out. There are 15 different forms of anxiety. We do have a what are the different types of anxieties? And so we've got generalized, panic, social, phobia. Those could be additional pages that you could link into here, or you could link blog content that posts about it. A lot of the growth of a site, especially from an SEO perspective, is again that journey to carry them deeper into the site to read further and further about what they identify with. So if they feel like they do have a generalized anxiety disorder or they panic or social anxiety, um, you might need to have additional resources for them, not that just be referenced, but for that to be linked into. Same with like grief and loss, right? There's so many different types of what grief and loss looks like. You can call that out on a single page, but you can also talk about the in terms of how do I know I'm experiencing grief? We could reference those out in deeper pages, deeper blogs. This starts to expand the site to both a user journey, but then also that connective tissue overall experience for them to explore all elements, especially as we interweave call to actions. As you think about the sort of robust site that you have, book a free call for some of those things. This is also where we could layer in resources, specifically resources, your resources, blogs that reference grief, other elements. If you had a five, a five stages of grief workbook, a, a quiz, what stage of grief are you in? There's lots of ways to think about providing resources to get better opt-ins here and some of those pieces. And when we think about some of these layers, we can figure out how do I intermingle that into the rest of our site. Let me go into here. You do have like a click in for more about your individual clinicians. Overall, it's clean, it's formatted well, it goes through some of those pieces. But this is also where we could start to expand on this page specifically for those other elements that I talked about on a brand. It's helpful to still find testimonials, results, blogs, or videos written specifically by Lauren, other forms of pieces. We could individualize, if you would like to work with Lauren, we offer a free consultation to make sure you're paired with the best therapist on our team. So especially some of those layers can happen there. We could spend a lot of time unpacking it. Melissa's doing a lot of really positive things in terms of the page layers that she has, the different resources for people to identify. What this is nice is on an SEO level, without digging into every page structure, this gets her both keywords on issue-based searches. This also gets her keywords on topic-based or identity-based searches. So someone will search for premarital counseling. They will search for, family therapy or sliding scale therapy if they have that language, right? And go through some of those things. So it's really about saying, hey, where is this stage of the website at? And what level of site expansion can we do, both from SEO, but then also from a brand engagement and success. So on your homepage, other than the photos of your clinicians itself, the things that I haven't seen yet in your site, especially since you do offer some physical spaces, is any pictures of your office, any media that is specific to your practice outside of the headshots, and some other layers there. And that's that personalized element that could be really helpful, whether it's from videos or different types of best practice imagery, or initially in your office or your therapy chair. We go really deep into it, but those are some of the layers that could happen in accordance to some of those things. I'm not sure what's under the media tab, if it's so you have been featured in these different media cycles. And so that's also things that it's great you have that tab there, but we could make use of that and have that show up in other relevant service pages. Embracing joy has been featured in blank, blank, and blank in some of those different pieces. And so that can be really helpful for just expanding the process. Let's pause for a second. And there's lots of design preferences. Your site expansion and your design preferences are going to be a little bit of like your brand choice, your colors. I did find a couple facets with the yellows or the underline a little hard to like read or scan. Be really curious to see what it looked like on mobile. But those are things that I'm thinking of when I initially brush through a website and go through some of those layers. We've got a couple of things that I want to wrap up with and share today as we go through. We've got a couple stages of your website. Number one is you just have to think through your core pages, services, and then initially starting SEO. You're in stage one if you're just kind of here. Stage two is you expand your service pages, your bios, your blog content, and your practice specific content. Stage three is really where you start to develop very clear brand work and user journey, and you're doing ongoing SEO and content publishing uh, consistently. And stage four is you have free resources, partners, you have press, you have client results in full form, and you've leveled up your copywriting and your visual design and function. You have a very robust, mature website. Here's what those stages gave. Stage one is really just going to convert the traffic that already knows about you. They come from Psych Today, a word of mouth referral, some other source that knows about you. Stage two will start to convert traffic from Google search, meaning someone who's never met you before and is just searching for a therapist. It's probably going to do the work to make them reach out to you. Stage three, it's going to increase your direct therapy seekers, meaning people are explicitly looking for therapy right now. We're going to get more traffic for that, and we're going to convert more of them. Stage four allows you to convert top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel leads. What that really means is cold, warm, and hot leads, people who are close to making a decision for therapy, people who are just exploring therapy, what it means and what issues they have and who they should work with, and people who are just trying to wrap their head around therapy and EMDR and have lots of questions and aren't close to making a decision. So stage four is what allows you to convert people who aren't ready for therapy today. And we hear a lot from practice owners like, I just want more people ready for therapy. There's a bunch of little decisions and knowledge that makes people get ready for therapy that you can build into your website. So how do you DIY or outsource your website for success? I'm going to quickly walk you through new, more, better. New is just like building a new page. More is adding more to the page or pages. Some of the recommendations I just gave Melissa is adding more to the page in certain elements. But a lot of it is also about just making better, optimizing what you currently have. Optimizing what you currently have. So a recommendation that I have, and we've been doing more of this at Therapy Flow as well, is to just build a practice build brief for a specific web page. What does that mean? I will show you an example. And yes, this template will be available for you after the fact. So this would be a build brief of some kind. So you're going to have your objectives. You're going to have maybe examples of what you want. You're going to have target audience callouts. You're going to want to list tone and style. You're going to list the core services or core content and the ways you want those highlighted in a page. You're going to understand and you're going to list out what keywords you're specifically trying to target with these pages, what trust elements you are going to be including in this page, what call to actions you're going to include in this page, what pricing or strategy or service next steps, what visual or structural inspiration you want, what your suggested page layout. Websites are built in blocks, right? So block one, block two, block three, any notes for the builder, and then final deliverables. So build this for yourself. This is essentially like going grocery shopping before you build the page. Don't do all the copywriting. Don't do all the design work. Don't go source all your images. Don't hand off before you build a website page brief. The cool thing is you can also use AI tools to very quickly, you do an info dump, you talk at it for 10 minutes, whatever it is, you type out a bunch of random stuff, and it will fill out a really great, robust page brief first. Start here, and then actually go build, design, hand this off to your editor, your project coordinator, whatever. Because when you show up and you say, hey, I want a new marriage and family website service page, and someone builds it and you're like, that's not what I wanted, or this doesn't have anything on it, you often have to lead yourself or lead a vendor through that process depending on the level of development that they're going to have. And this kind of gives you a best practice template. The other thing that I'm going to link for all of you is our Therapy Flow private practice growth partner. I'll link both this build brief template for you guys to have in the chat in just a second here. But this build brief link is also equipped in this specific AI tool. And so it is also sourced on a lot of other Therapy Flow best practice information. And so the cool thing is if you want a more nuanced source or build brief, I was doing one yesterday as I was trialing it out of just an EMDR service page brief with some simple prompts. It's doing a great job. So just something to move you guys forward faster for developing robust service pages and robust pieces that have a lot of that content listed there. And so those are two just resources for you to grab and take away now as we go through a couple other things today. Let me pull back my slides and we're going to keep going. Drop a one in the chat if that website build brief template and that custom GPT seems helpful. Let's keep going. So bottom line is if you don't know the current ROI or you don't have time for your marketing, and if you don't know the return on investment that you're getting maybe for your marketing, and if you aren't tracking and optimizing results, I know 100% we can help you grow your group practice. And for some of those who are launching a group practice or even solo. So a couple fun things that I just want to walk you through. Generally, Therapy Flow does things like Google Ads. We do website and SEO support. We have a HIPAA compliant CRM, and we do a lot of practice coaching and consulting. Think of someone like Kenny, who's had a mix of services, ads, and coaching and other things. In 12 months, we helped him add almost $1 million to his practice, which was just incredible, doing a mix of a lot of these strategies and services that we have. One of the biggest things, if you're looking for contextual content like you're getting today, is we have our full expert practice strategy program that has knowledge base tools like I just shared with you, our live coaching, and our master classes. Even just recently, we've got people like Karen, 10 plus clients in the last 30 days here in our summer slump as a small practice, and other people just saying glowing reviews about the ads, the coaching they're experiencing with us. And on the list goes. Kim getting 15 plus new Google leads in their first 3 weeks. Jeremy got 4 new leads in the first 4 months. After 4 months of running ads for another company and got nothing. Jessica having a marketing system that works and a constant system to let them have 60 plus intakes a month. You can read the full case study on how the All Reds scaled to more than a 7-figure practice with our team. That's available on our website. Since today is about websites, some of you are walking away with a large to-do list for today. Man, how do I integrate this? How do I build this? Where do I go from there? And we do have a website management and SEO light plan. All that means is we've got about a 1 to 2 day business turnaround for any and all website changes that you might want to make. And you can submit as many small to then large changes as you want. The smaller, the faster our team is, the larger. We'll do page design. We'll do some monthly health and site reporting. We'll give suggestions on best practices for your website for where it's at now. And we just have a simple change submission process. So if you're walking away and you want more like done for you website support and help, drop a link in a second and you can book a call. If you want ad support, SEO support, coaching support, that's what we're here for. We'll leave some time as I go through questions in just a second here. Let me grab you that link so that way for any and all that want to book a call and chat with Carrie. She can do some website audit related stuff, and she can just walk you through content, cost, services, all of those types of things. Thanks for joining us today. I'm going to go through and see if there's any questions that we really want to talk about and dig into. Tilio, it looks like you were answering some great ones along the way as well. Let's think through this. On an FAQ is an accordion drop-down menu, not good for SEO. So Tilly answered it in the chat, so people can, Google can read those drop-down FAQs. If you don't have FAQs on your website, it's actually a really great way to stuff content into your site that people both consume while also not putting it on the main page. So for a lot of those content pieces, you can put a lot of your large answers. And then for many site builders and other things, you can have like a copy and paste FAQ block that you can put across all of your pages or just some of your pages. So that way it shows up more often as people go from page to page. Anyone else have live questions or other pieces that they want answered right now as we're digging into this?
I'll add really quick to that accordion question because it's kind of interesting. I said Google can't read it, but they can't, right? Google is super, super smart at this point. What's most important is there's some things that are prioritized and less prioritized. So when something's in a hidden field or like at the bottom of a page or only displayed once on your website or there's no links to that thing, it's deprioritized. So things that are in like quote unquote hidden fields, like an accordion, it's deprioritized. Or things that there was another question that was like, hey, should I have all of my therapists listed on my sub menus? If you do that, that's a little bit more prioritized because it's linked from your home page. So the things in the nav bar are a little bit more prioritized. The things that are like hidden or tucked away are deprioritized. So keep that in mind if you have like a hierarchy of importance. If you're like, wow, I really want to emphasize that we do this thing, that maybe you should make it more important, more prioritized. Maybe there should be links directly to that item, like that service page. Whereas if you want to, if you're okay with deprioritizing that item, maybe only put it in a hidden field or only put it somewhere, tucked away.
Well, thanks for joining us for the website masterclass. We'll see y'all next